Imagine that you just want to express what you believe. Now, imagine having to spend more than a decade in court just to do that. That's what's still happening to Colorado cake artist Jack Phillips. He's been relentlessly harassed by the state of Colorado and an activist because of his beliefs. But our friends at Alliance Defending Freedom are standing by his side and they need your help. Join with ADF and be a champion for freedom. ADF is on the front lines defending Americans like Jack in court, free of charge, when their First Amendment freedoms are on the line. And for just $19 a month, you can stand with people like Jack too. So visit joinadf.com/B and pledge your monthly gift of $19 or more to ADF. ADF is committed to the long game of protecting freedoms now and for generations to come, and I am too. Are you? Because it's really important. Go join adf.com/B and be a champion for freedom with your monthly gift or any amount of gift today.
The Babylon Bee Podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome to the very first Babylon Bee Podcast of 2024. Happy New Year, everybody. I'm Kyle Mann, the editor-in-chief of the Babylon Bee, and I'm hanging out with Emma.
Hey everybody, welcome to the podcast.
She's very excited to be here, as you can tell. And we also have Brandon.
Hi, I'm still Chinese.
And we have Travis.
Hi, welcome to the first ever episode of the Babylon Bee Podcast. Ever.
We haven't seen you guys since last year.
Hey!
This is an all-star panel of your very favorite hosts, and we are going to take you into the new year with an absolute bang. What have you guys been up to lately? You know how we're going to take you into the new year with a bang? By saying, what have you guys been up to lately, and having everybody stare at me.
Yeah, I was sick over the holidays. So that was fun.
Oh.
I had a stomach flu. My whole family pretty much threw up everywhere.
Oh, wonderful.
And our house got condemned. So that was fun.
Because of the throw up?
Because of the throw up.
Mm.
I was living the Oregon Trail for real.
With less grandfather clocks.
Are there grandfather clocks in the Oregon Trail?
Yeah, you can just load up your wagon with nothing but grandfather clocks.
Why would you want to do that?
You could.
That's not going to help you get to Oregon.
But if you
But
load
it's an
up,
option.
If you load up your wagon with grandfather clocks, you have no room for the bison meat, the hundreds of pounds of bison meat that you hunt in the fields.
Yeah. And then you have to decide, like Indiana Jones, if you should let it go.
The grandfather clock or the bison meat?
I was picturing the grandfather clock, like you're reaching for it down the crack.
Indiana.
Yeah. Did I tell you about my son? Did I tell you about my son in Temple of Doom? My 7-year-old?
He was in the movie.
You did, but you could say it again.
I can say it because they haven't heard it.
Yes, correct.
So my son, we let him watch Kingdom of the Crystal Skull because he was hanging out with a relative. And they were like, oh, can we watch Kingdom of the Crystal Skull? His cousin. I'm like, okay, you guys can watch it. We got a couple scary parts.
It's rated G, practically.
Come on, basically. And he watched it and he loved it. And then a couple days later, I came downstairs and I heard something on TV and I came downstairs. My 7-year-old's watching Temple of Doom. And he's like halfway through and he's like jumping around all excited. And he's like, Dad, look at Shorty. He's, going into the temple and yeah. And I said, all right, fine.
Cool.
I don't know if I should have let him watch it, but
I've let
a little much for a 7-year-old. Right?
It is. I let my kids watch it, but also I was, with them. And I was like, okay, close your eyes for this part or whatever.
Yeah.
And you told him he could turn it off if it gets too scary, right?
Yes, I did say that. Thank you for reminding me.
And he did, right? I thought he stopped.
I think at some point he did, and I don't know if it was because it was too scary or if he just got bored or whatever, but he did.
One of the two.
He did turn it off. I actually watch it with my kids usually so I can make them watch the scary part. I say, no,
Force their eyes open.
Watch it. This will make you a man.
Yeah. I think Temple of Doom is probably my favorite Indiana Jones movie.
I always hated it, and I need to watch it again to see if... I think now if I went into it going like the camp is a good thing, like campiness is not necessarily a negative thing.
Oh yeah, that's true. If you depending on how you look, it's probably the campiest one.
Yeah,
which I think is hilarious.
And I think I watched Last Crusade first, and so I had this like idea that there are these very like structured movies with like adventure themes, and then Temple of Doom is very like what is going on here if you go back and watch it. So I think now if I watched it, I might.
Is Temple of Doom the one where he takes the heart out?
Yeah.
My family will say it. We'll be like, Shakdala.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man, what does he say? I forget.
Don't say it.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna invoke the stuff, which isn't good.
I thought it could happen when I watched it as a kid.
It
Like,
can
oh my
if
gosh,
you say
you
the
can
words.
do that. Come here, little sister.
Yeah, but with that makeup, because his hand just goes right through it like it's butter. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
he has a strong hand. He's a great physique and a strong grip.
I was just about to say that.
It's an inside joke. Okay.
Well, we've been up to a lot of fun stuff here at the Babylon Bee, but for now, we're going to look at the news of the week.
What's in the news this week?
So first off, the Pope has called for a universal ban on surrogacy, saying it exploits the mother and traffics a child. From us Protestants, good poping, Pope.
I was surprised to see something that the Pope said that I agree with.
Right. I mean,
You know?
That's not ridiculous.
Yeah.
yeah.
I feel like he often says stuff like this, but it doesn't make news headlines usually. Like when he's just like, it is good to worship God. When people are like, which I guess that's an easy one. That's kind of a gimme.
I decree it is a
That
good
is day
thing.
one of Pope school.
Well, I think
for sure.
when he tends to take the wrong side of many issues, it's
Yeah.
surprising when, for the controversial ones at least, when he seems to land on the right
What
side.
I've seen is that he rarely takes the wrong side, but what happens is he says these very confusing, vague, middle of the road statements
Sure.
where you're like, what exactly? Like this thing where he's like, you can bless, priests can bless
Oh, same-sex
unions. And it was like, okay, well, if you dig into it, he didn't say that priests could perform a ceremony or necessarily bless a gay marriage, but he didn't not say it.
Yeah.
I think that's the wrong stance. Like, don't be confusing about it. Don't, take the middle side on a very
Part of me
important
thinks
issue.
he's just like, I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm just like going to be vague and see where it lands and go, yeah, that was it.
Can you imagine he just never read the Bible in his life? And he just goes up and he starts saying stuff and he's like, oh, yeah, the Bible says gay things, maybe?
And they go, you were just muttering, well, oh, gays. That's it.
I think
That's the one.
surrogacy is disguised as a really positive thing. Like every time someone talks about it, it's always like, wow, you're doing such a great thing.
It's a kind of tricky subject because there are many cases in which everyone ends up moderately okay in the general sense of they were, quote, willing participants and the babies were raised healthy. But I think it's like adoption can be very beautiful, but in adoption, you're redeeming something that's already broken. And in surrogacy, you are intentionally going into something, creating something that is not inherently ideal. And can it work out? Absolutely. Does it work out sometimes? It does sometimes. But that doesn't mean it's okay for us to take the initiative to initiate something, to take the initiative to create something that is already inherently broken, to be redeemed, to be potentially redeemed. So it can be, I think it can be redeemed, but that doesn't give us the right to intentionally create something to be redeemed.
In America, we're one of the few countries that allow you to pick the gender
Brain teaser. I'm sorry.
of the baby. America lets you pick the gender, but most countries ban that because it's eugenics. But we don't. It's such a bad
I think
industry.
there's a possibility for surrogacy to be done in a moral way. I think a lot of times in practice and execution, they're not really doing it in a pro-life oriented
It's just
way.
Hey, I want my baby. And
I think there's a possibility for what the in vitro, like there's a possibility where you take one egg, one sperm, and you don't pick the gender or the genetic defects, and you put it to the mother who the egg belongs to. I don't think there's a way for surrogacy to be good.
But why not?
Because you're paying for the womb of someone else, and you're paying for the egg of someone else, and that the egg is never going to be, the baby's never going to be with the right parents.
Correct.
Well, I think the other issue is it's not so much that you're basically borrowing a womb and getting your baby that way. It's that the way they do it is that they're like essentially throwing tons of eggs in there and seeing what sticks. And then, so in a sense, you're losing embryos.
Lovely visual.
Well,
Get over here.
Isn't that how babies are made?
Even like the first stage of it, harvesting, eggs from women is incredibly dangerous. It's incredibly unhealthy. They take as many as they can take, and then for the fertilized eggs that they don't use, they just lock in a freezer forever. So you can actually go and adopt those fertilized frozen eggs if you want to.
Well, so to that end, if the Pope says no more surrogacy, what happens to all the babies in the freezer?
I feel like that would be better. There's probably millions of them, and then they could each be adopted instead of creating more.
So I think I have some issues with surrogacy. IVF, I think, can possibly be without any moral issues or quandaries whatsoever if you are willing to implant every single embryo. But I think with surrogacy, you are intentionally creating a life within a mother that the baby will attach to in the womb, will understand and learn her voice and know her heartbeat, and then you take the baby away from her. They don't even allow that for puppies. Like, puppies need to stay with the mother for weeks or months before they're allowed to be taken away. But with babies, they'll take them away from the birth mother, no questions asked, immediately. I think that's intentionally creating a broken system that can be redeemed. I feel like a broken record, but I think that's the difference inherently. And with IVF, I still feel a little iffy about it. I think it can be completely moral, and yet I still think we're still getting really close to weird territory of choosing of playing God, essentially.
I'm sorry, IDF, Israel Defense Force?
Yes. IDF is playing God. No.
You'd have to be, the ones that are more moral are incredibly expensive. And then just pumping a woman full of hormones to help make the process work is a risk.
Yeah.
I think in general, I'm just not in favor of significant. You heard it here first.
That's later on.
Of significant intervention for just so someone can have a baby, when they could adopt, when they could do something else. And
do you take medicine?
Well, there's a line there, right? There's a line somewhere. I took an Advil once. My argument is
I'm trying to drop
the mic.
Brandon made the handle way too.
I think that was Dan Coates with his strong grip and great physique.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's...
You ever have a cough drop?
Boom!
It's ultimately when the wants of the prospective parents are put above the needs of the child.
I feel... I don't have strong feelings about this. I do feel like a lot of times we take like conservative ideas and we equate them with like scriptural commands. And I don't know that there's anything super clear in scripture about this. I do agree that in execution, a lot of times, both surrogacy and IVF could be questionable.
Execution.
Well, Abraham taking a surrogate wife. Like Sarah offering, what's her name? Haggai. I think that was
Hagar's
a sin.
The Viking on a comic strip.
I think that was wrong for Abraham to take a wife to be a surrogate for a child for them.
I don't think that's the same thing, though.
It's not
similar.
Exactly. I mean, it would be similar if they ripped eggs out of Sarah and put it in Hagar the Viking, and then took the baby.
And eventually, those
out of the
descendants
way, Hagar.
become the IDF.
Yes.
And we come full circle.
You get it.
I'm just saying situational ethics is a little different than saying like the Bible explicitly forbids this for Christians. I do think we probably are way more permissive about these issues and don't think deeply about them a lot of times. And I think each person should think deeply about these.
And I could be wrong. And I fully admit I could be wrong. I just think we need to exercise more caution. I agree with that. I just think we don't exercise enough caution as a society, and we just think, oh, this is solely good.
Yeah, right.
When there's so many questions to be asked about playing God like this.
I thought it was a good thing. And then diving more into it and listening to a podcast with Allie Beth Stuckey and a woman who was being a surrogate. And her horrible experience, that made me more against it. It made it more surprising that the Pope had such a harsh stance on it for something that's so disguised as a good thing.
When all the basic stuff, he's like on the wrong side of it. And then this complex nuance issue.
But definitely not this.
Not this. Right? What?
I mean,
The line must be drawn here.
and this is an issue that I have changed my mind of and become more conscious of over the past several years. I think 5 years ago, I wouldn't have batted an eye at IVF. And then I started
Would have
thinking
watched the process.
and then I started thinking about it, and I was like, what happens to the other babies? And I heard a story about
right.
I heard a story about a woman who was born of IVF decades ago, and she decided, oh, I'm going to have one of my siblings.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
And so she had one of her siblings implanted in her, and that was I don't know the ethics behind that, but it's just weird.
Well, there's obviously a line, and I made the joke about medicine or whatever, but there's obviously a line there like, God gave us this earth, and all the physical properties and scientific properties for us to be able to, create things and subcreate things. But there's a sense in which at some point you're just, as C.S. Lewis would put it, like you're bending reality to your will, where it's not, there are thresholds that we're not supposed to cross. I'm not saying this is or isn't part of that, but it is something to think about.
Would you think one of the thresholds, though, is creating a wormhole in space in like the Event Horizon situation where you fold the paper and you go through, but you go through hell?
That's exactly how wormholes work. Yeah.
I don't understand until you actually get a paper and stick a pencil through it.
Oh, someone give me a paper.
And then I'll understand. Hey, you know that there was a riot at a Jewish synagogue in New York where some Jews were building a 50-foot tunnel underground? I saw this video on Twitter.
This is a wild story.
Of this Jew, like Hasidic Jew, like walking up out of a grate, and they're like, what?
They just pop out of the
They just
ground.
pop
That's how Jews are born.
It's incredible.
So the New York Post was reporting on this because initially there were complaints about noises underground. I guess of people like speaking Yiddish and stuff, and like, I don't know, using a pickaxe or whatever. And then eventually officials discovered the tunnel that synagogue leaders were working on. Synagogue leaders worked with the city officials to fill in the tunnel with cement because they found this tunnel. They're like, well, that's not supposed to be there. But then I guess there was this like extremist group,
within
so-called extremist group that was like, no, that's our tunnel. And then they rioted. It was bizarre.
They're extremist Orthodox Jews who believe that some guy named Rabbi Menachem Mendai Schneersonis, who died, I'm sure none of that was right, who died in 1994, is the Messiah. And so the tunnel war involves access to the headquarters and former home of Schneerson, a site that has been at the center of previous controversy. So I think that's why the tunnel is so important.
I fought with your father alongside you.
Sorry, I ruined your joke. Go ahead.
Well, I ruined my own joke by flubbing.
In the tunnel wars.
I thought it was impressive that they built tunnels in New York City, because I think it's New York City. Like,
yes,
I thought you would just get to,
Brooklyn.
you'd hit the subway system.
Yeah.
And then they were complaining about noises underground. How loud were they? New York is loud. You would never hear them.
You can be up in a skyscraper like 50 floors up and you're still hearing the cars and the roaring of the city. It's a loud city. So it's fascinating.
Did you see that tweet from that guy that was like months ago? He was like, "There's people speaking Yiddish under me."
Oh, I'm not
like,
crazy.
I'm in the ground floor. You guys are gonna think I'm crazy, but I'm serious. And it's like everybody's like, "What are you talking about?" And then he just retweeted it, and he's like, "See."
Aren't tunnels fascinating? Don't you think underground tunnels are fascinating?
There is something very significant about an underground tunnel.
Is it just me? Am I the only one in this room that's fascinated by tunnels?
No,
I think they're cool.
Okay, because I once clicked on a YouTube video of a guy who was building a tunnel from his pantry into his like garage or something, and it was like a 2-hour-long video, and I was like, oh, I'll just skim through this, and I ended up watching the entire thing. It was like a movie. This guy building a tunnel during COVID times.
There's lots of tunnels. There's a whole tunnel system below Riverside that leads from the Mission into a bunch of different places.
Oh, is it for Prohibition?
It was used during Prohibition, but it predates Prohibition.
Oh.
And so there's a whole, I am obsessed with that tunnel system.
Where there's like a lot of tunnel systems under like shopping malls and a lot of urban explorers that go to abandoned buildings and sites. They just like find these tunnels that run for miles and miles underground.
Yeah. Disneyland.
We should do that. We should
tunnel system.
We should do some urban exploration as an office.
I could take you some places in PA.
There's a tunnel under Jerusalem, Hezekiah's tunnel.
Oh.
Which is on it. Actually, this is what made me think of.
There's tunnels in the West Bank.
Oh,
Anyways, here's
Absalom's
an image
tunnel.
of where the tunnel was. It goes directly under the women's prayer section, from the men's bath to the Shabbat headquarters.
so everything I've read about it is saying that basically the extremist group who believe that this Schmierson was the Messiah, they're the ones building the tunnel to get access to the sanctuary. But the map shows it going by like this women's prayer room, and then there's like this.
They're eavesdropping. On
That's
the
kind of what
women.
it sounds like. And then they found a bed in there, and it's just
Ugh.
like, ugh, what were they just peeping or something? It's just creepy.
That's crazy.
Peeping on a woman's prayer center. Like what could be?
Peeping on a prayer. That
That
sounds like a
famous
song.
Bond-
Been on
Bond-
prayer.
Sleeping on a prayer.
Yeah. But yeah, and they still think he's. Some people think he's the Messiah, but he's buried in Brooklyn. You can go
like-
to his grave.
It's like the Jewish Church of God with the Korean man that came back as
Oh yeah.
Jesus.
The moon, sun,
Moon, sun,
something.
moon, sun, star.
That's his name. Are you sure it's not a Sailor Moon character?
But yeah, I saw some lady on TikTok that was digging a tunnel under her house, and it seemed like she was, I don't know, is it autism? Is that the one that makes you like really focus on something?
It can.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Like she
You
just
could
got
also
obsessed
just be
with like I need to
focused.
dig a tunnel, and she
Oh.
was like hiring like backhoes.
That
and
sounds more like
also-
obsessive
I was
compulsive.
going to
maybe-
say, there's
maybe it
also
was that.
obsessive compulsive disorder.
she was like digging it under her whole subdivision, and the neighbors ended up complaining. And
You know, Rambo built tunnels under his home
this is true,
in the last Rambo movie,
In real
Last Blood.
which was essentially Home Alone.
It was
for
just Home Alone.
adults.
It was, yeah, it wasn't that great.
Home Stallone.
Home Stallone. You
That
heard
was
it here.
excellent.
So, hey, did you hear that there was other news?
I did.
Oh,
All right, guys, that's all the time we have.
well, I guess there was going to be the first lunar lander in 50 years from some company called Peregrine. So the Peregrine mission was going to go, but they can't do it. Apparently, there's no chance at a soft landing on the moon because of a technical failure, cementing the fact that we've never been to the moon in the first place
Yeah.
because we apparently can't figure out how to go there.
It
I was on board with the moon landing, and then this just backtracked it.
Uh-huh.
So
crashed into the firmament.
That's what the technical failure was. Oh, there's a firmament here. Whoops.
The Peregrine Falcon is the fastest animal on Earth and overshot the moon.
My dad put the space shuttle into orbit. I have to brag about this
Personally.
Yeah, well, he did. And well, on the computer systems. But he every time we talk about the moon landing hoax or someone's like, "Yeah, I don't think we really went to the moon." He just goes, "Ridiculous," which is a little suspicious.
You think he is part of the
no.
cover?
That's what you would say if if it was a hoax.
he doesn't get mad.
No, he just thinks it's funny that someone would think that.
Oh,
He's like, I don't know
I
what
think
to
it's
tell
kind
you.
of funny
Like,
too.
Mm.
I think we went.
we
to
launched
the
the
moon.
rockets, so
We saw the rockets go. They went somewhere.
What was the Peregrine trying to land on the moon?
let's see. It was carrying freight for several private contracts. On board the lander was a small piece of Mount Everest,
Important for the moon people.
small robots from Mexico,
Also very
Roombas.
important to the moon people.
Off-brand Roombas.
and a group of tunneling Jews, No. and the ashes DNA of dead spacemen, space enthusiasts, including Gene Roddenberry, Arthur C. Clarke, and JFK. He's not a spaceman.
Well, he said, "We will go
Oh,
to
that's
the
true.
moon. I will go to the moon as my DNA."
Cargo fares for the lander cost as much as $2.2 million per something called a kilogram,
Kilogram.
which apparently is about 2.2 pounds.
Hmm.
Would you want your ashes to be sent into low Earth orbit on the moon or deep space?
Yeah. So
Pick
apparently,
So what
that's
happens
that's
when you
one
go
thing
to
they
dump
offer.
the ashes? They just like slowly float.
Well, I want my non-ashen
Yeah, like you
body
set them
up
down, they
in
just kind of
space.
float up.
Yeah.
Like, is that the only...
Would your body last
only-
forever in space?
No, I mean like while alive.
Would it explode or would it freeze?
I think if you have no air inside of you, it will not explode because I think it's a pressure change that causes it to.
What's
burst.
the magic school bus? He froze, but I heard somewhere else that you explode. So
Wait, someone
heard
froze
both
in
things.
space on the Magic School Bus?
Yeah, he had a cold later and was fine.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
He took off his helmet
survived.
for something.
You talking about Carlos or whatever his name is? The guy that they always, he's like the one that they all get mad at all the time.
I've never seen Magic School Bus.
Carlos.
Yeah, isn't it Carlos? Is it Carlos? I might be getting
remember.
it wrong. It's some Mexican name. But he doesn't look Mexican in the show. He's like white. I don't know. Someone Google it.
So you want to be sent off to space, like
No, he wants
your
to be alive.
body,
I want
or
to
you
be
want to be
in
alive?
space.
He's saying he wants to go to space.
I would like to go to space. I don't want to wait till I'm ashes to
That's
go to
not
space.
answering the question then. The question is, would you want, if you
I
had
don't
to
care
put
about my
yourself-
ashes. I don't care about them.
Oh,
I want my living body to be in space.
I think if I'm going to do something with my ashes anyway,
hmm
if it was free, I'd be like, sure, I'll go to the moon. But I won't go to the moon. I'll go to deep space. I'll opt for deep space.
Well, we are going to freeze your dead corpse
okay.
and
In
preserve
one
it here in
piece?
the office.
It doesn't matter. We're all just stardust anyway.
Yeah, it's true.
And now it's time for the Babylon Bees Bible verse of the week. Amen.
Genesis 20:11 through 12. Abraham said, I did it because I thought there is no fear of God at all in this place, and they will kill me because of my wife. Besides, she's indeed my sister, the daughter of my father, though not the daughter of my mother. And she became my wife.
I read that today.
You read this today?
I read that today.
Is this part of a Bible in a year plan?
Oh,
Or-
could be.
Possibly, yeah.
So yeah, Abraham with his wife's sister is kind of a fascinating story to me because he does it twice.
And then doesn't Isaac do it too?
He might.
I think his son does. There's at least 3 times it
It's a
happens in
family
the Bible.
tradition.
There's a lot.
Today
Of,
you become a man, son.
But
You have pretended your wife is your sister. When I was reading Genesis last year, I found a lot of humor in it
Mhm.
that I maybe hadn't picked up on before, that I think the Jewish people would think was funny. Like, just not that it's a joke, like, so there's obviously, it's a narrative of stories that we believe actually happened and all that. But there's a real sense of humor in like how dumb the people are sometimes.
yeah.
And God constantly being like, no,
come
the
on,
one thing you weren't supposed to do, that kind of stuff. And I really enjoyed these stories in Genesis where they're like, she's my sister. And that happens over and over again.
Yeah.
but technically, she is, so I didn't lie.
Well,
Yeah, technically.
and she's not the daughter of my mother, but she's the daughter of my father. So,
But-
and then she became my wife. So,
So Dan and I were talking about this earlier, and I hadn't thought about it this way, but at this time, Abraham and Sarah are really old. And so he's going somewhere with this 90-year-old woman, 99-year-old woman, and people are like, I'm going to marry that girl. And I'm like,
I mean, do you
Yeah.
think at this point the aging process hadn't?
I think
I mean,
there's
she is past her time of like giving birth.
yeah, they
right?
make such a big deal about I can never have kids. I'm
Yeah.
90 years old. They could be certainly more fit than she doesn't necessarily look like a raisin.
So her 90s is like women today 40 or late 30s.
But
Yeah, like
guess,
way old, way past their prime. Like
No, well,
30.
I'm saying because if she already is post-menopausal,
Yeah.
then
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
I
That would be
don't-
like
when did that
I think it would be
happen?
like 50 today.
But you do see a 50-year-old woman, you're like, man, she's hot.
I will when my wife is 50.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but are you gonna are you gonna have to say like, are you gonna have to fight off men for her? This is a trap. Okay.
Yeah.
As a
Well, let's go around. Have you ever went to a town and said, "Hey, this is my sister," like just in case,
It's been a few years. I haven't done it.
Who
in
is
a
the
few
fake
years.
sister wife in your life
I
that you need to confess?
I found an old like letter or happy anniversary letter that I wrote to Mark, and I signed it like "Love, your sister Emma." It's like a joke
Were
for
you-
no one, but if on the off chance that someone reads it and then thinks that we're brother and sister.
Yeah,
Well,
now
I
you
think-
can't run for office because they'll dig into that and be like, "Oh, is this
Well,
an
we're
incestuous-"
They don't even need to dig
Ilhan
into it. It's
Omar.
on a podcast episode.
I think the three of us on this end in interracial marriages, there's less confusion on that end.
Oh yeah. No, my aunt is very adamant that
Travis
we look
kept
the same.
bloodlines pure.
Wait,
What's that?
I'm thinking of all the ethnicities now.
My wife is Mexican.
I'm thinking of all the
My wife's
ethnicities.
like a quarter Mexican.
Oh, really? So not pure bloodlines.
Okay.
Sorry.
100% interracial marriage podcast panel then.
Folks, this really upsets me. Government officials are threatening the ability of churches, Christian ministries, and people of faith like you and me to freely live out the gospel, to minister to those in need, and to express what we believe. Friends, we must no longer stay silent. The great folks at Alliance Defending Freedom are on the front lines of this battle. They defend everyday Americans like you and me in court, free of charge, whose First Amendment freedoms and God-given rights are being violated. And we need to stand with them. Join with ADF and be a champion for freedom. They can't do it without our help. Just $19 a month will help fuel the fight to protect our freedoms. Visit joinadf.com/B and pledge your monthly gift of $19 or more to ADF. And together, we will boldly advance our right to live and speak the truth. Go to joinadf.com/B and help defend faithful Americans with your gift today. It's time for Hype or Night.
So we have a new segment called Hype or Nype.
Nype.
The first one is Stanley Cups.
Is that hyped or is it not hyped?
But what's hype means it's too hyped up, right?
It's
Yeah.
too hyped up.
So
Hyped
Nype,
What do you
or
think about them?
overhyped?
so what does Nype mean?
Wait,
Night means it's
Not
it's
hyped.
not worth
Oh,
the hype.
not hyped.
So okay, so is it worth the hype or not?
or
Yeah.
Nype?
Because if you say something is hype, it means it's just hype. It doesn't mean it's.
No, well, in this pretend world, let's say that hype is like,
Did you
yeah,
make
it's
this
worth
up?
the hype.
This feels like something.
I
in-
prefer the
Did
word
work
Nype.
on this.
What?
What?
I prefer the word Nype to hype.
Okay, so is Nype.
So Nype is
Okay, so hype means it's worth the hype. Nype means it's not worth
It
the
means
hype.
nope
okay.
in hype
Okay.
in
Okay,
hypean
Yes,
terms.
Stan-
yeah.
In hypean terms.
Stanley Cups. Wait, is it
Wait.
hype
Hype
is
or
worth?
Nype?
This is
Definitively
very
Nype.
confusing.
Definitively Nype.
I'm gonna say Nype.
Nype.
I don't understand it.
Not worth the hype.
I drink out
right?
of the fire hose. I mean, the garden hose.
I don't. The firehouse just blows your head off.
You get to drink from
the fire hose.
I don't even know what a Stanley Cup is.
Stanley Cups have been around for a while, but in recent times they've become a fad amongst basic women who
Basic.
who purchase them for what? How much are they? $80?
40.
50, yeah,
They're
50.
basically expensive cups.
Oh,
It's just a cup that keeps your drink.
Oh, then the
warm or
answer
cold
is
or
Nype.
whatever.
We were at the store the other day, and Amy wanted to buy a Stanley knockoff, and it was like $12. And she said, $12. You could buy like 10 of these for the price of one of, maybe not 10, but
well, like, does
you
it?
could buy multiples.
Is it just trendy, or does it do something?
They're very
other-
trendy, and they're a status symbol.
Yeah, I think they are a good. It is a good cup.
influencers
I mean,
have them.
if you, it's a fine cup.
But it's not an $80 or
Yeah, it's
I don't
not
know
worth
how much they
$50.
actually
Well,
are.
will it keep water cold for like 3 decades or something?
Supposedly, I think it's like
Because that'd be
it's a
worth
3-decade guarantee. But
I'm going to look.
Because
up
you
how
go to
much they
Target,
Let
it's
me-
like 12 hours, 24 hours on the cups sometimes.
let me add a caveat to this, though. In that, I am saying Nype, definitively Nype on. I still don't know what each of these means, but I'm going to say Nype. But at the same time, I understand the human compulsion to collect. And I don't necessarily begrudge somebody who finds something fun in life and is like,
That's fine.
there's a limited edition one coming out. I got to go get. I relate to that because I collect board games. I collect nerdy action figures, trading cards, baseball cards. Like, there's a human impulse to like collect things. And I like that we have something physical that people are actually collecting. You know, like in this age when everything's digital and people don't even have albums anymore.
That's true.
You know, it's cool that people have found something they like. So I don't begrudge. My wife collects the Starbucks ones. You know what I'm talking about.
the mugs of the cities with
Woman, do you know
Starbucks.
what I'm talking about?
I do know.
No, not those. Although we
Oh.
collect those too.
Then I don't know.
But the cups with the straw, like the
Oh.
have the lid that screws on them.
I respected the other version.
And she probably only has like 10 of them. But it's just something once in a while she's like, "Oh, I like that color." And I think that's cool.
Yeah.
I only collect treasure
have a
in
hobby.
heaven.
Stanley Cups in heaven.
So the next one is In and Out, Hyper Nype.
Hype.
Hype.
Sorry, I yelled it.
I see the confusion now because hype means like
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
like overhyped, or are you hyped?
It is worth the hype.
I like In-N-Out.
Yeah.
I do like
So
it.
your answer is hype.
Sure.
Is it really worth that long line?
Yes.
I would say, I think when you want In-N-Out, nothing else.
Nothing will satisfy.
Checks that
Nothing
box.
comes close. Carl's Jr. has a California burger,
no.
and it is no.
Oh, if we're, I don't like that you can't get anything else. Like,
But
there's
you
no
could get
other.
French
Go to a
fries.
different restaurant.
You
They
can go to
added 2 new items
yeah.
to the menu recently.
What?
Yeah, they added
Lemonade
drinks. Yeah, they added a couple
If
drinks.
In-N-Out's fries
Coke and
were
Cherry
lemonade.
Coke
better.
and sugar-free lemonade.
I like In-N-Out's fries.
Wait, what did you say was better?
If In-N-Out's fries were as good as McDonald's, I would only go
McDonald's
to In-N-Out.
Does have the best fries.
So maybe
I think
it
they're
is
good in
worth
different
it.
ways. But the little shriveled brown fries from McDonald's are the best fries in the world.
no,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
You lost me
The
on that.
shriveled,
good.
soggy ones.
No.
Those are
Adds
the absolute
more
best.
salt on them.
Well, you know, there's
So
a secret menu at In-N-Out where you could just say, "I'd like some crappy fries," and then they do that for you.
I get extra light. Extra.
I get extra
light.
crispy.
I get well done. Yeah,
Yeah.
well done fries at
In-N-Out.
In-N-Out.
I like soggy fries.
All right, California, Hollywood, Los Angeles, Santa Monica, etc., etc. Hype or Nype. These cities, all of them, rate them all with
Oh.
one hype or Nype.
Nype.
I'm gonna go with Nype.
I'm gonna say hype.
There are better cities than all of those
Well-
cities in California.
Well, in general,
Yeah, but I
though,
assume etc. means other cities in California too.
And
Oh,
Fair
no,
point.
California in general,
obviously includes San Diego.
California in general is an awesome place to live.
I would say hype for California. I've lived in 4 or 5 different states, and I like California the best.
I
hate
would-
the policies.
The
like
politics suck, but it's a wonderful place.
Super
I would
beautiful.
I would Nype the LA metropolitan
Sure,
area.
I agree with
Yes.
Because like Hollywood's like this, world famous place, and you go there and it's just a bunch of homeless
Trash,
people.
yeah.
Disgusting.
It's a bunch of garbage. There's nothing interesting there. The Walk of Fame's kind of cool, but you're staring at it while you're walking around, and people keep
You
devasing.
gotta look
Trump
down. They
Gotta
should have
look
put
down.
it up like here, an eye level.
Chinese theater's cool.
I went to Hollywood on Saturday, and saw MXPX play, and I got this jacket. And I met some B fans. Hi, Steve.
That
I
sounds
think
made up.
Steve was one of them. Matt, Mike.
Hi there,
Somebody.
Todd.
I think
Bee fan, notable
these
bee
cities
fan.
are Nype because my cousin came out and she's like, oh, I want to go visit Santa Monica because it's famous and
Yeah.
everyone hypes it up. But I was like, no, we're
There's
going to go to
better
Laguna
beaches.
Beach because it's
Yeah.
beautiful. It's so much better.
Everything around it is cool, but like going to LA, like that whole metro area, there are some cool things there, but
Yeah.
you really have to know where
Little
to go.
Tokyo is great.
Yeah.
The Grand Central Market is great.
You just have to know where to
Does
go.
Little Tokyo have a little Godzilla that terrorizes it?
Yes, he comes at night. He comes for the children who
It
don't know how
mostly
to use the
comes at night.
chopsticks.
It's
Mostly.
it's just an iguana that walks around.
Okay, since we're done with California, Yosemite. Hype.
I've never been.
That's awesome.
It's been a while since I've been.
It's been a long
but
time since I've been,
Nice.
but it's
very
fine.
nice.
I'm gonna say Nype.
because you haven't been.
No, I have been.
You don't like
I've
Yosemite.
been multiple times. I
crowded.
Hold on. I like Yosemite. I just think it's overrated.
Wow.
What?
Do you want to tell that to God? Like he made Yosemite and you're like, meh.
Well, there's more. I changed my mind.
Well,
No, what's
overhype
nice
is
about
not-
it to you? No, you don't have to enjoy every place on Earth.
Well,
mean,
like
that's-
I like
what-
the half dome. It's pretty.
Yeah.
But in general, it's just like, cool. Some fields. I can get better parks. And Yellowstone has
Okay, I have a new
lots
show
of cool
pitch
stuff
idea.
to see.
Did you guys ever watch California Gold with
Yes,
Huell Hauser?
Hauser.
I want Travis to host a California Gold type show where he just goes around and like finds cool things, but you're just like, meh. What is this? Some fields?
Well, it's just you can get that same beauty in so many other places. That it's like, why is Yosemite being lifted
Golden
up for
Gate
it?
Bridge? Meh. Some road over the water.
And you're right, it does get crowded. But
Yeah, it is crowded. Dutch Brothers Coffee.
I would say Nype.
Nype.
I don't get it.
I don't even know what Dutch Brothers coffee is.
I stayed
I've
in
never
that
heard of
long line. It's
Yeah.
all
Is there some around here?
There's one that
Yeah.
opened up
Oh,
not too far from here. I was
no,
about to say
I've
the
seen it in
street,
other
but
states. I've never seen it here.
I got it one time, and yeah, I don't get it.
Do they have a dumb Dutch Brothers like they did with dumb Starbucks?
I wish.
Yes.
That'd be amazing. I'd go to that one.
Okay, I don't know enough about Dutch Brothers, so I'm going to say hype. Call it.
I'm all in on Dutch Brothers coffee.
Well, it sounds like once you have it, it's Nype. So I might as well take the hype.
Yeah,
position.
okay, I'll buy that.
College.
Nype.
Wonder what I'm going to say.
I'm going to... I very much enjoyed my college experience.
And I love that people can enjoy college experiences. And
But I will say Nype.
And I know that people can benefit from college, but overall as a system, it is destroying society.
Where'd you go?
I went to the Academy of Art University in San Francisco, and I regret it.
You didn't enjoy the time there.
Oh, I did. But I regret spending the money, and I regret contributing to the system that is ultimately going to lead to the downfall of society.
It's a pyramid scheme.
I don't know if
Fun
I go
time
that far.
playing Smash Brothers with friends in your dorm. Destroying society.
I feel like Violet doesn't have any of that. It's adult daycare. I did not enjoy it. I felt like I was around a bunch of children.
Yeah. I think I'd go with Nype. I like college just doesn't seem as useful as it used to. Obviously, if you're going to be a doctor, go to medical school. If you're going to be a lawyer,
Oh, you're
to
one of those big
college.
pharma guys.
if you're a pharmacist,
Oh my gosh, there's way more hypes or Nypes.
Okay, let's go through them. faster.
Crumble cookie.
Hype.
Nype.
Hype.
Nype.
I love crumble.
I like crumble.
It's
Zep
good.
They're
Tastes
way over.
good, too expensive.
They're way overpriced, but they're delicious.
Zeppelins.
Hype.
Hype. Like,
Not-
are we talking about the airship? Are we
Hype.
talking about the dirigibles? Because I would
inefficient.
say
I think we're talking about airships.
dirigibles.
Yeah. If that's what you want
Inefficient.
to call them.
I'll
That's
say
what they're called.
hype. I like Led
Oh, they're
Zeppelin.
also-
That's
they're also
my
called-
knowledge.
Zeppelin.
Dirigibles is my favorite word in the English language.
I've actually never heard it.
It means
before.
airship.
That's amazing.
I'm going to say hype. Timothy Chalamet.
I haven't seen him in enough things. I've only seen him in Dune and maybe one other movie.
I've only seen him in Dune, and I will say hype.
I liked him.
I'm going to say Nype. I saw him in
nothing.
Dune and Wonka, and he's all right.
I don't think I've seen anything with him.
But you have to pick one.
Okay, then hype.
Whoa.
Quentin Tarantino.
What's right in the middle? Because sometimes his movies are either great or awful.
Well, you
As a person, though.
have to
As a
pick one.
person, Nype. Definitively Nype.
I've never seen a Quentin Tarantino movie.
Mm.
Whoa.
But the people I knew in high school that liked him were terrible. So, Nype.
I'll go with Nype also. I really like Kill Bill.
hmm
To a lesser extent, I like Reservoir Dogs.
I do not like Reservoir Dogs.
But
Dogs.
overall, I think
You know which one I don't like?
he's all
Reservoir
style
Dogs.
over substance.
Inglorious is fantastic.
Yes.
I should watch that.
Yes.
And I very much
Disagree.
like Django as well.
I
Disagree
did not
also.
like Django.
I did not like
But
it.
it just, I liked Kill Bill. I don't really seek out movies with that much violence.
Is he the feet
know,
guy?
The what guy?
Probably.
The guy that likes feet?
Probably.
He always puts feet in
But-
his movie.
He has a lot of
Yes.
violence. I think he's known more
That's
for the
him.
violence and cursing.
And
There's a foot thing.
And feet.
He's got a foot
I
thing.
don't know
and
about the feet
his direction and Christoph Waltz is a wonderful combination.
Who did
Yes, I agree.
Who did Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? Was that?
That was Quentin
That was-
Tarantino.
Yeah,
Quentin.
he's the foot guy.
Yeah.
Because there was a long shot of somebody putting their feet up on the dash, and it was zoomed in on it
gross.
for a
It
very
was
long time.
gross.
Yeah.
Hey,
Feet.
so
It was
so
a
have you seen
guy?
that, or did you just see that part?
I've just seen I just looked up all the feet scenes. Okay, next one. Feet, hype or Nype?
I don't want to talk about feet.
I'm gonna
Where's
s-
the
I-
hype?
I'm gonna say Nype.
I'm gonna say
I like
I wish
ha-
I didn't have them
I
personally.
like I like having feet,
What?
but
I'm gonna say hype because I can jump.
How about feet as a unit of measurement? Hyper Nype.
hype,
Mm.
very hype.
Yeah, because
Very
it's
hype.
American.
Because it's American, it's not like convenient.
It's very convenient.
When I
because
was
it
doing
is-
math as a kid, I was like, man, if I grew up in the UK, I'd be good at this. I'd multiply everything by 10.
No, if you grew up in the UK, your height would be like 178 divvy willies.
I
It'd be
wasn't
okay that I don't
stoned.
have good teeth. I would be like the hottest person there. And, it'd be like,
If you
It
grew
would
up in
work
the
out
UK,
for me.
We're getting
you
into off
wouldn't-
topic because I was talking just about the measurement thing.
Can Pure Tige convert? What would you say? Divvy willies?
Divvy
to feet
willies.
for us?
Pure
Willies
Tige.
to feet.
Divvy willies to feet. No, I find that metric units are very useless in everyday situations because I'm like, oh, you look like you're about 182 centimeters tall.
But centimeters is not the only unit.
That's because you're not used to it.
No, there.
But also, they would say like 2 meters, not 28 centimeters.
But that's the thing. You go from, I know they have like decimeters, but they don't use them. All right. Yeah. So it's like, oh, you're about 2 meters, or you have to go all the way down to centimeters. Mm-hmm. Where with feet, you have this convenient about 5 feet, about 6 feet, 5.5 feet. They are used more for everyday life because that's how they came about. It wasn't some scientists on a council somewhere with big measurement that came along and said, oh, this is what all humanity has to use, these little precise... Yeah, no, people were out in the fields and they were like, I'm walking, it's about 10 feet away. It's why it's useful.
You're usually so calm. This is what riles you up.
Yeah, I don't even disagree with you, but you're so excited about it.
But calm it down a little, please.
Okay, Christopher Nolan.
Hype.
I'll say hype.
For which movie?
It's just Christopher Nolan.
Just Christopher Nolan?
Yeah, I don't love all of his movies.
Not as a director, as a moral human being.
He was nice to my wife, so hype.
Oh, you met him?
Oh.
His wife did, apparently. Hype.
I'd go with hype.
Are you hyping or nyping?
So I'll say hype. And then the next one, Inception, I'll say nype.
Wait. Next one, Inception.
Emma's wrong.
I would say hype.
Strong hype.
I liked Inception quite a bit.
I will say hype also because it was the single greatest movie-going experience in my life.
Wow,
when everyone just like went, oh, when the movie ended, when the top was going.
Oh yeah, the top was great. The top was great.
The everything was great.
It does warble, right? Are we all in agreement that the top warbles?
Oh, it does.
Yeah,
but yeah. One of the greatest movies ever made.
All right, another.
Hold on a minute.
Okay, now we're on to another Christopher Nolan movie, Star Wars. Hype.
Overall, hype. Although
I know
I see myself becoming a not Star Wars fan within my lifetime.
Disney's doing their best to turn the hype into a Nype. Star Wars.
That's a great soundbite.
I can't get into it. I just don't think I'm a guy obsessed with laser swords.
And space
I don't
wizards.
think I'm a guy obsessed with laser swords.
But I could might be. There might be one trapped inside of me.
Are you hyping or
Mostly
nyping?
I'm hyping Star Wars.
A Barbie movie.
Nype.
I have not seen it.
I've also not seen it. But
I saw it and I tried to give it a chance.
I felt exactly
the idea
same
of
way.
coming out with a movie for a kid's product and making it not a kid's movie is just weird to me.
But it's been done before and it's been done well before. And I think...
When has it been done well? This is not me disagreeing with you. I'm just not... I can't think of one.
Well, let me get back to you on that.
Okay. So it's never been done.
Let me get back to you on it.
Okay, fair enough.
Because I'll think about it. I know there have been some movies that have been done on children's... Well, how do you feel about the first Transformers movie?
I liked the first one.
I know the rest of them got ridiculous.
I don't even love the first Transformers
But
movie.
it's a children's toy. Yes, the movie could be watched by children or grown-ups, but and they did justice to the license. It was a fun adventure. Maybe it didn't do everything exactly according to the books or comics or cereal boxes or whatever Transformers properties there were. But
yeah, the first movies.
There's things like that where they take an old thing, they reboot it, and it does fine.
But how do you feel about Beast Wars?
The cartoon?
Oh, I didn't like Beast Wars.
Beast Wars is great.
I think the Barbie movie, if it was only for adults, then make it more for adults. And then if it's like, I don't think kids should go watch the Barbie movie.
I thought it was bad. Yeah.
I say do not make it for adults. Do not make children's toy movie for adults.
But it's not a popular children's toy. Barbie is for like older to young millennials.
I say it doesn't matter. If it was made for children to begin with, don't make it an adult thing now.
Sure, I don't think this movie was made for kids.
My English teacher in high school was a large black woman.
End of story.
I was hoping that's where it was going to end.
And she loved Beast Wars. Nice. And she had the whole DVD set on her shelf. And if there was like a day where we were done with our assignments, she would show us Beast Wars.
Nice.
And she would describe all the backstories to us. And she said it was actually based on Shakespeare. And she would explain the connection between Shakespeare and the Beast Wars character.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
Other than that, she had no other like nerdy proclivities or anything. Yeah. It was all very serious. And then it was like, oh, Beast Wars.
That's funny. To be fair, I've never actually seen Beast Wars. So
it wasn't that large.
I'm not actually serious with my Nype.
Oh, it's actually a pretty good series.
Cool. Let's do an audio commentary of it.
Okay. She was large in the impact she had on your life.
She actually was. Yeah. All my English teachers were great in high school. After Barbie movie, we have sous vide.
Nype.
Sous vide as a cooking technique, I would say hype overall.
I don't know.
I don't
what it
actually
is.
know what it. Yeah, what is it?
Sous vide is a cooking technique
Sorry.
that I believe means under pressure.
Under pressure,
It's,
like that?
Yeah, it's basically using a water bath heated to a precise temperature in order to heat meat or any other food item
You
to
lost
an
me at
exact
water bath.
temperature. So lots of
You
times
actually put them in water?
it's usually sealed in a bag or something.
You have to do a
of the like.
science experiment
Water bed.
Well, but
for
it-
an hour before you can even cook it where it would taste
Oh my
good.
gosh, guys, we have so many of these.
Well, essentially, when you cook a steak, depending on the doneness you like it at, Kyle likes it done at like
Doneness.
120, or if you want it done at 129 or 135, in order to get the internal temperature to 135, the external temperature has to be much higher than that, and you end up getting gray banding, and you end up overcooking the upper layer of the meat just to get the right doneness in the center of the meat. With sous vide, it heats it evenly with completely even heat distribution throughout. So you
what
get
do you think about that, Travis?
This has been Brandon's
cooking
cooking
temperatures.
corner.
All right, The Legend of
That's
Zelda:
interesting.
Breath of the Wild. Hype.
Hype.
I haven't.
Hype
no,
or
can,
night?
Can I have no opinion?
Abraham Lincoln.
Hype.
Nype.
Hype.
Oh,
Nype.
right.
He like expelled journalists and banished congressmen
some
and
bad
imprisoned
things.
his political enemies.
But every politician's going to do something bad.
Yeah, but not every one of them is gonna like imprison his political enemies and shut down newspapers that disagreed with him.
Yeah, he did some bad.
Talk about tyranny. What I always say is
Sic
sic
semper
semper.
tyrannis.
Friends. It's all capital letters, so I assume it's the TV show.
Nype.
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 I'll disagree. I'll say hype. It's not my favorite
I
show,
don't-
but I watched it.
I'm gonna say Nype.
I did too. I mean,
I'm gonna say Nype, but it is decent background, and it did create a lot of sitcom things that we.
I
It's
just
no
think-
Big Bang Theory, but it's all right.
Let's put that on the list.
I just think that when people look back and like the classic sitcoms, ever, and Friends is up there, I'm like, man, it's not that good.
I think at the time it was pretty.
It was a big pop
Yeah.
culture thing for sure.
Okay, next one is Friends, not the TV show, just the concept.
Oh, hype.
Hype. You have to say
Hype.
Brandon.
Hmm.
You'd,
Next item.
Come on, you have
you'd
friends.
rather have enemies?
You like Friends.
We're
all your friends.
I do.
Okay. Brandon says.
You've convinced me.
Brandon says hype.
You've convinced
Next
me.
one is cardio.
Is there hype around cardio though?
I'll
There
go.
isn't hype.
I'll
I
go
don't
hype.
think so.
I'll go hype.
I'll go hype
I
because
like
it's
cardio.
healthy, right? It's
Yeah.
good.
I'll go Nype.
I like cardio.
I don't want to talk about it. So does that mean Nype?
Yeah.
Like I don't want people to tell me about their marathon running.
I guess that's fair.
Oh, I was thinking about running a 5K in April.
Hmm.
Do you want to talk about it?
COVID lockdowns.
Oh, definite hype.
Definite.
Way up to the hype.
Clear
Okay.
hype.
Chick-fil-A. Hype.
Nype.
Nype.
I would say hype, but the Popeyes sandwich is better.
Whoa.
The spicy chicken sandwich is far superior.
I like Chick-fil-A. I just think that I'm surprised at how much of a cultural phenomenon it's become.
I used to really like the sauce, and then I had Raising Cane's, and now I can't go back to the Chick-fil-A sauce.
Raising
about
Cane's
the
sauce
sauce.
isn't as good, but it is good.
So much
I think
better.
Raising Cane's is overall very mediocre.
It's
so
okay.
much better,
It's,
though.
if I just want some chicken strips, it's fine. I'm not. I don't think it's amazing.
There are very
Yeah.
rare instances where I think I just want some chicken strips,
Yeah.
and Raising Cane's
Sure.
$13 chicken strips will suffice.
Yeah.
The next
Uh,
one is Bluey.
Hype.
Hype.
I'll say hype, even though I haven't seen it, just because
That's great.
I've heard
It's
good
available on
things
Daily Wire Plus. It's about some chinchilla.
The Constitution.
Hype.
Hype.
It doesn't say if it's American though. It could be
Oh.
any constitution.
I'm gonna say hype,
I'm gonna say hype unless we're talking about the North Korean constitution.
and then Nype.
The Nype.
Brandon, you never answered.
I'll say hype.
Women.
Hype. Who doesn't love women?
I will say hype for one woman.
I was about to say one woman.
Aw.
All the rest,
Then what do I say it for? Myself?
sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Her name is Margaret Thatcher. No. My wife is not Margaret Thatcher, but hype for my wife. What about you?
Well, no, I'm hype. Fine, I'll say hype.
Okay.
Wow, really self-focused there.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah,
I don't like men's no more.
I don't like men's no more.
Only women.
I'm delivered.
It's not. What am I supposed to do? I can't
No, you say that's
hate
fine.
my own existence.
If you like being a woman, that's great. So
Yeah,
hype.
get away with saying mean things and then laughing. It's nice.
Men can't do that.
No, I can't.
Super Mario Brothers Wonder.
Hype.
So far, I'm going to say Nype,
Mm.
but I haven't explored it enough.
I haven't played it.
So Nype.
I haven't played it.
I'll probably hype once I play it.
Okay.
Probably.
Wine.
Nype.
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 Is it new wine
Or old.
or old wine? Nype. I'll just do Nype.
Do you like grape juice?
Boy, do I. I do like grape juice.
Okay. So hype for that.
I used to sit down and play some StarCraft and get my grape juice and just be like, and I would do this thing.
Wait, play StarCraft to get your grape juice?
No, I
You
get
would-
my grape juice on.
Oh.
And get my grape juice on.
I'd be like,
got it.
strategy. And
I thought you said I would play StarCraft to get my grape juice. And I was like,
Hey,
what?
how much-
Is that an expression I don't know about?
How much sugar do you have to eat as a kid to get diabetes? Like it has to be
As
quite
a
a bit.
kid,
I'm not sure that there's a correlation with eating sugar and getting
Really?
diabetes. Yeah.
I thought that was the
That's-
thing, like eating candy and you get
Yeah.
diabetes.
That's a thing that people say, but I'm not sure that that's actually
Plus,
true.
Oh.
I think eating candy can
Well-
cause health problems, which can
Could
then
lead to diabetes. Oh, I thought if you just
But
ate
I
like way too
don't
much
know
sugar,
if-
you would just like get diabetes.
I believe, and I can be completely wrong, that that's a common misconception.
Oh.
well, a lot of things turn
think
into
it's
sugar in the body,
combined,
too,
right?
So,
Like-
carbs turn into
It
sugar.
it definitely doesn't help.
like
but
candy,
'Cause I'm-
seed oil, bad.
Well, I think about my childhood or my teenage years, the halcyon days, and we would have like LAN parties where I would bring a 12-pack of Mountain Dew and we would play Counter-Strike all night, and I would drink the entire 12-pack
Yep.
of Mountain Dew, and it's like, and I would be like chugging pixie sticks at the same time, and it's
Like
like how did I not?
You brought the Mountain Dew for everybody, but then you drank.
Well,
all
it
of
was a BYOMD.
Oh, okay.
Were you an overweight as a child?
No,
Then I would think that would be part
now
of
I
it.
am, but then I wasn't. This is a recent development.
up to my late 20s, I remember there was one night I was doing a shoot. We were setting up a Rube Goldberg machine for a commercial. And I probably, drank like 12 sodas in one night. And I did not feel good afterwards.
Yeah.
But
But
I
you
did.
didn't get diabetes?
not that I know of.
Oh. How was the Rube Goldberg machine? Because that's the best part of the story.
I'll show it to you after the podcast.
Okay.
It was fun.
Can we play it on the thing, or is it copyrighted?
It may be copyrighted, but you could play it.
Please enjoy the Rube Goldberg machine and let us know if you think hype or Nype.
Uh-oh.
Something I was going to say. I forgot. All right. Anyway, going keto.
Nype.
Nype.
I'll say hype.
If you don't talk about it,
So
then
I went-
hype, which
I
is
went keto.
impossible. It's impossible.
So I went keto and I ended up losing about 20 pounds on keto.
I
I have
And I
lost
felt much better about
I
myself.
have
It can
lost a
work,
lot of weight
for
over the
sure.
past year cutting carbs, but I hate it. I love carbs. I love rice. I miss rice all the time.
Yeah.
If you couldn't tell by my facial features.
My
that
only
I-
problem with keto is it's so like you can't break.
mhm.
If you stumble in one point,
Mm-hmm.
you're guilty of all.
as a fad diet, I
'Cause
would
then you
say
could
it
lose
works.
it all. Like you gain it
Oh,
all
yeah.
back.
It works and it's good for you. But I just don't want to talk about it.
Now that I'm in my mid 30s, I'm
How old are you now?
in my mid 30s.
Oh, okay.
I'm
On the-
36.
On like, oh, okay,
That's mid 30s.
the higher side of mid.
But still mid.
Sure.
It's got pretty mid. You got to admit.
Like I think you could say mid 30s is 34. I've had this debate with my wife recently. Mid 30s is 34 to 36 to me.
When I get there,
So when I hit 37 someday,
someday.
I will be late 30s.
well, technically, you'd be mid to late 30s.
Okay, I'll take that. But right now I'm mid 30s. So as a man in my mid 30s,
Late mid.
I find that keto is less effective than it used to be. Because it used to just be like, bam, you drop the weight immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And now
but
it's
that
like,
was a
you gotta
year
put in the
ago
work.
for you. To do keto.
When I first started keto, it was probably 5 years ago.
Oh, okay.
But yeah. Apple Vision Pro. Don't know what it is, but it's Apple, so
Nype.
As a technology, hype. As a price point, Nype.
Yeah. But eventually it'll come down. Like
As a technology Nype, I'm just gonna get dizzy if it's like it's the pop up stuff on your.
Mhm.
Yeah, I can't do that.
Well, it's virtual reality, right?
I can't do.
It's
I
virtual
can't wear
reality, but it's also
VR
like augmented reality.
goggles.
Some combination, also augmented reality. The thing with Apple, I can't stand them.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
And every time they announce a new product, I'm like, that's stupid. and then it ends up taking over as this amazing thing that everybody loves. So I think it will eventually hit some sort of price point or product that'll work. That Hideous Strength, I respect it, but Nype for me. Hard to read for me.
I have not read it, but if you say it's hard to read, I'm going to say Nype.
I haven't read it.
Okay.
I haven't read it.
So hype. Not doing that one. Make America Great Again.
Nype. I like
the idea.
I like the idea.
I like, but why does
I
it
don't like-
the American Dream afterwards?
I don't know.
The American
Who's typing
Dream
this?
hype.
Well, technically, right? He wants. I don't know.
Well, it's like Build Back Better. Should we build back better? Sure.
I did like all the things that the Trump presidency led to, so except the Biden presidency. So I'm going to say hype.
Fair enough.
NASA announced an Artemis mission sending people to the moon again. Boring. I'll say hype.
I got distracted by the board.
The Nype is already built in.
Who's editorializing this? Who's writing these?
Boring.
Boring.
Taylor Swift.
Nype.
Nype.
I will say hype up until Red, and I also Nype, 1989, Reputation, everything after that.
1989 is like her most famous album, isn't it?
Yeah. I thought it was overrated. I really didn't like her pop phase as much.
Well, then let's.
I thought when she straddled that line between country and pop, that was the ideal situation.
Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Is that
Nype.
the first one?
It's the second
It's
one.
the second one.
I haven't seen it.
It's terrible. Nype. The first one was great.
I don't think it's terrible, but I would Nype it in the sense I don't think it's as good as the first movie.
Get Out.
Hype.
I haven't seen it.
No, I was telling Travis.
Oh,
Get Out.
Sorry.
I would say hype. I
Get
thought
Out?
it was a good movie.
I liked
It was
it.
fun.
Get Out, hype.
I think Get Out was a good movie that's overrated.
I agree, but I will still say hype, that I enjoyed it.
It's a long Twilight Zone episode.
That
Which would
sounds
be-
awesome.
Why wouldn't you want to watch a long Twilight Zone? Brandon Sanderson. Brandon, what do
Kyle,
you
would
think?
you like to go first?
I will say Nype, with the caveat that after some future reading, I may change my mind.
I would say hype. I've read every single one of his books, and some of them are terrible, but the ones that are good are very good.
Any author that writes that much is going to have some better ones.
But the books that are good are very good.
I'll say hype.
All right.
I wouldn't know. I haven't read
You haven't known like
have
any
to
of
pick one, Emma.
You haven't answered one in like 10.
Then you said Nype or you said hype?
He
I said Nype.
I'll say Nype just to support you on your birthday.
That's good.
All right, well, that is the end of the episode. So thank you for joining us, everybody.
I think we have one more item.
I don't think so.
I think there's one more
I think
item.
that's it.
I think there's one more item that we have to hype or Nype.
All right, Kyle's birthday, hype or Nype?
I would say hype.
Hype for me.
Hype.
I'm a big fan of birthdays. I'm like a big kid.
I would say hype also.
I'm glad that Kyle Mann was born,
Oh, me too.
and we are all employed because of that.
Emma, are you going to say, I don't know? I've never had
I-
this
Well,
birthday."
you guys went.
I don't know, Kyle,
You didn't go the joking route at all. So I guess I'll say hype.
Okay.
because you were going to say Nype and hoping everybody else
Well, I
would
was
say
gonna
Nype.
point out how like for your birthday you want to play a 12-hour board game, and
Yeah,
to
that sounds
me I
great.
Yeah.
don't want to do that. But
I still like have birthday parties and stuff, which is something that I realize a lot of people in their mid-30s like me.
Are you getting ice cream cake?
Oh, I should.
don't pick it up. I always feel like it's sad if you pick up your own birthday cake.
Oh, I've done that before.
It's sad.
How would
though.
they know? Unless my face is on the birthday cake. And then it's
I've
like,
also
Well,
had
they don't need to know it's about you.
I've also had misspelled birthday cakes. It's great. I think actually the one I had to pick up was misspelled, but I didn't want to correct them because I'm like,
Did you order
my
it?
name is not spelled. I did not order it. No.
How did they misspell Brandon?
I've gotten a Brado, happy birthday Brado before.
I am now calling you Brady. That's
My
awesome.
cousins do. It's fine.
Brado.
I've gotten Braden as well, with an E. Braden.
I do feel
Brandon
like
is a common name.
but I do feel like Brandon is a name that has enough like corollaries, like close enough names.
But there's only one that's correct.
I understand, but I'm saying there's enough that like people might mess it up.
Yeah, there's a lot of dumb ways to spell it.
I understand that. But like if I meet someone whose name is Brandon and 5 years later I'm like, what was that guy's name? I'm gonna be like Brian. Brandy.
Brandy. Yeah.
I've gone by Brandy and Brian before.
Brado. And
Brandy.
then eventually I land on the right one. Where a name like Kyle, that's just there's nothing to mess it up with.
No, not really.
Although I have had people spell it like on the Starbucks cup.
Kile.
I've gotten Kile and I've gotten like Kail. They're just get very.
Kale.
They just don't. If your mind doesn't go to Kyle, you're just like messed up.
I guess, man. This is why. Yep.
I'm gonna keep doing this. I don't know why I keep hitting my.
That's
knee.
a knee slapper, is what that is.
That's a good one.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy
Should we
birthday.
sing?
Thank you. Yes.
Yes,
Happy.
Emma should sing a solo.
Yes, Emma, you
No.
should sing.
That,
for it.
if, that's not
Go
what
for
you
it.
want for your birthday.
Go for it.
For he's a
Subscribers
jolly.
go.
Oh, we're doing a hard
It's a
song.
happy birthday, a happy birthday
Birthday
to you. A happy
It was my birthday, so we get party too.
Hey.
I'll just sing to myself.
Oh yeah, that was kind of
That's
that's
kind of like
worse than
picking
picking up your own cake.
Yeah.
You should sing to yourself while you pick up your own cake at the counter. Happy birthday to me. Well, everyone, thank you for joining us on this special, fun New Year's 2024 episode of the Babylon Bee podcast. We will see you guys when I'm in my late 30s.
Especially you, Steve.